In the world of combat sports, there are warriors. And then there's Yi Long, the bald-headed Shaolin monk who became one of Asia's most controversial, most watched, and most absolutely insane fighters of the 21st century. But here's the twist that makes this story even crazier. He was never actually a monk at all. Born Liu Xingjun in China on April 1st, 1987. Yes, April Fool's Day. Which is somehow perfect that this fighter would transform himself into a cultural phenomenon that would captivate millions and infuriate purists in equal measure. In this video, we're diving into the most memorable, most controversial, and most jaw-dropping fights of Yi Long's career. From absorbing punishment that would hospitalize most humans, to facing off against legends, to pulling off one of the most bizarre victories in combat sports history. This is the story of a man who made himself a legend by letting people punch him in the face. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about how Yi Long actually became the Shaolin Monk. Despite what his shaved head and Buddhist imagery suggested, Yi Long never trained at the famous Shaolin Temple. In fact, when he started gaining popularity around 2009 and called himself the #1 Shaolin Kung Fu monk, the actual Shaolin Temple came out publicly and said, "Yeah, no, this guy has nothing to do with us." Talk about a corporate denial. So what was Yi Long's real background? He was actually scouted by a local sports university that saw potential in him as a Sanda kickboxer, also known as Chinese kickboxing. He trained 3 times a day, 2 hours per session, grinding away at a sports school, not meditating in some ancient temple. But Yi Long understood something crucial. In Chinese combat sports, authenticity is everything. The connection to traditional martial arts, to Shaolin, to ancient Kung Fu legends, that's what sells. So he shaved his head, put on the monk persona, and rode it all the way to 6-figure paydays. Was it fake? Absolutely. Did it make him one of the highest paid fighters in China? You bet. But here's what wasn't fake. His ability to take a punch. And this brings us to our first legendary moment. It's 2011, and a young New Zealand fighter named Brad Riddell, who would later go on to fight in the UFC, is standing across from Yi Long in the ring. Now, Brad Riddell is a technical striker. Fast hands, good combinations, and Yi Long decides to do something that seems absolutely insane. He puts his hands down, completely down, and just lets Riddell punch him in the face over and over and over again. This wasn't a moment of being stunned. This wasn't a defensive mistake. This was a strategy. Yi Long just stood there, absorbing a barrage of full-power shots to his jaw, using what he called his iron chin technique, a combination of breathing control, meditation, and what we can only assume was a skull made of titanium. The crowd goes absolutely wild. People can't believe what they're seeing. It's like watching someone play chicken with brain damage. I mean, look at this guy. Riddell keeps swinging, clearly exhausted, confused, probably questioning reality itself. And then, when his opponent was finally tired out from hitting him, Yi Long exploded with his own combinations, landing punches and attempted knees before the bell. And what did the judges do? They gave the fight to Riddell by unanimous decision. Yeah, ironically, they counted all those absorbed punches against Yi Long, which, fair enough, that's literally not how boxing works. But did anyone remember the decision? No. What went viral worldwide was the insane footage of a man using his face as a defensive weapon. That clip has been viewed millions of times, cementing Yi Long's reputation as either the toughest or the most reckless fighter in combat sports, possibly both. Now we get to the big one. The fight that would define Yi Long's career and create one of the most controversial moments in kickboxing history, Buakaw Banchamek. If you don't know the name, which you probably do, just know this: he's a Muay Thai legend, multiple-time K1 Max champion, one of the greatest fighters of his generation, a man who made a career out of destroying people with devastating kicks and precise technical striking. And in 2015, Wulin Feng Promotion, Yi Long's home promotion, decided to bill this as the fight of the century. Kung Fu versus Muay Thai, China versus Thailand. The Monk versus the Legend. Millions of people across Asia tuned in to watch. The opening round is electric. Yi Long comes out aggressive, even managing to drop Buakaw twice in the first round with heavy shots. The Chinese crowd was absolutely losing their minds. Could the Shaolin Monk actually do it? But then something happens that happens in basically every Yi Long fight. Reality kicks in, literally. Buakaw, being an actual elite level fighter, figures out the puzzle. He starts using his superior technical skills, his devastating middle kicks, and his counter-striking precision. By the second and third rounds, Buakaw is systematically dismantling Yi Long, moving, striking, defending with that beautiful Muay Thai efficiency. When the final bell rang, everyone was watching, including Buakaw himself, who looked tense, waiting for the decision to know who won the fight. The judges give it to Buakaw by decision. The right call. Justice served. End of story, right? Wrong! Because watch what happens in the second fight. Wu Linfeng saw the massive attention the first fight generated, and they immediately booked a rematch, Fight of the Century 2 in Nanjing, China. And this time, oh boy, this time things got weird. The fight itself, even more one-sided than the first. Buakaw dominated. His middle kicks were surgical. His defensive awareness was masterful. He tossed Yi Long around the ring like he was teaching a seminar on how to beat someone at kickboxing. Combat Press, one of the most respected combat sports news sites, later described it like this: Buakaw won the fight on his consistent and damaging middle kicks, effective counter-striking, and supreme defensive awareness. So obviously they gave the fight to Yi Long by unanimous decision, with one judge giving Yi Long every single round. The combat sports world exploded. Combat Press literally gave this fight their Robbery of the Year award for 2016. The controversy became international news. Everyone from hardcore fans to casual observers was talking about how blatantly bad the judging was. But here's the thing. Wu Linfeng had reportedly been paying Yi Long six-figure salaries per fight. He was their golden goose, their homegrown superstar who sold out arenas and pulled massive television ratings in China. They weren't about to let their investment lose on home soil. Was it corrupt? The evidence strongly suggests yes. Did it make Yi Long more famous? Also yes. Did it permanently tarnish his legacy? Absolutely. After the Buakaw controversy, Yi Long needed to prove himself. Wu Linfeng decided to create an 8-man tournament where elite fighters would compete for the right to challenge Yi Long for his Wu Linfeng 70-kilogram championship. Think about that for a second. Usually champions have to earn their way to fight contenders, but they made contenders fight each other to get the privilege of fighting Yi Long. That's how much power this promotion had invested in their fake monk. In the end, Sittichai Sitsongpinong eventually won the tournament. Now let me tell you about Sittichai. This man was the current Glory lightweight champion, ranked #1 in the world at his weight class, with victories over basically every elite fighter you can name. In kickboxing terms, this was like sending in a special forces operative to handle a bar fight. The promotion probably thought, Yi Long's at home, Chinese judges, we can work our magic again. Except Sittichai had a different plan. He finished the fight before it got to the judges. Yi Long comes out swinging his usual wild combinations, chin up in the air, throwing everything with maximum effort and minimum technique. Sittichai calmly evades, counters, and starts finding his range. In the second round, Sittichai decides he's seen enough. He moves forward with purpose and boom! A perfect left head kick catches Yi Long flush. The Shaolin Monk crashes to the canvas and he could not beat the countdown. That's a KO! Second round. Sittichai Sitsongpinong wins the Wu Linfeng 70-kilogram world championship. This was the moment where the Yi Long aura cracked. You can't fake a knockout. You can't convince judges to change the fact that you're unconscious on the canvas. Reality, in the form of a Thai fighter's shin, had come calling and Yi Long's answer phone was disconnected. After the Sittichai knockout, Yi Long needed a win. Something spectacular. Something that would remind everyone why he was a draw. So naturally, they booked him against a literal giant, Hongman Choi, 7 feet 2 inches tall, 330 pounds, a Korean kickboxer and MMA fighter who had fought everyone from Fedor Emelianenko to Jose Canseco to Badr Hari. Yilong, for comparison, is 5'9" and weighs 165 pounds. This was David versus Goliath, except David was a fake monk with questionable defensive skills, and Goliath was a massive Korean journeyman looking for a paycheck. The rules were special. 1 9-minute round, victory only by knockout. The fight starts. Yilong, showing absolutely zero fear of the size difference, immediately goes on the attack. He's throwing combinations, moving around this giant looking for an opening, and then Yilong throws a spinning kick that lands, well, let's just say it lands in a place where no man wants to be kicked. Hongman Choi, all 7 feet 2 inches of him, goes down hard, clutching his groin in obvious agony. The referee gives him time to recover and standard procedure for an accidental low blow, but Choi cannot continue. He's done. The injury is too severe. The referee declares Yilong the winner by knockout. Let's be clear, this wasn't a skillful victory. This wasn't a calculated body shot. This was an accidental groin kick in a freak show fight that ended in the most anticlimactic way possible. In reality, Hongman Choi had to pull out of his next scheduled fight because of the injury, and Yilong got to claim he beat a giant. Sort of. Technically, if you squint and don't ask too many questions, LOL. So what's the verdict on Yilong? By 2017 to 2018, after consecutive losses to Sittichai and Sayok Pumpanmuang, Yilong's career began to fade. His record sits somewhere around 61 to 12 to 1, though the exact numbers are disputed because, well, this is Chinese regional kickboxing we're talking about. Was he a fraud? In terms of the monk persona, absolutely. The Shaolin Temple themselves said so. Was he a terrible fighter? Actually, no. He won the 2007 Guangdong Foshan International Wing Chun Championship. He held multiple Wulin Feng titles. He beat some legitimate opponents when the judges weren't involved. But was he an elite fighter? No. When he faced genuinely world-class opposition like Buakaw, legitimately, or Sittichai, the skill gap was obvious. What Yilong was, though, was something more valuable in the entertainment business. He was compelling. He understood that in combat sports, sometimes the show matters more than the sport. He was willing to absorb punishment in ways that seemed superhuman. He brought millions of casual fans to kickboxing who otherwise wouldn't have watched. He was the perfect embodiment of the question that haunts all combat sports. Where does athleticism end and entertainment begin? When does a fighter become a performer? Yilong didn't answer that question. He just monetized the hell out of it. And in doing so, he became a legend. Controversial, disputed, and debated, but a legend nonetheless. This has been the legend of Yilong, the fake monk who became a real phenomenon. What do you think of Yilong and his Shaolin Monk career? Drop a comment below and let me know what you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching.